Hey YouTube, this is your LDM. This is going to be part two of the Horns of Cerunnos, which is my campaign set in my homebrew setting of Iskloft, which is like a Viking setting. So this is Group A, I guess. The other game was like an hour ago, if you wanted to check that out. But this is a continuation of the game from 2 weeks ago. So now that we got that confusion out of the way, I got you guys to introduce yourselves. We'll start with Mr. Knapp.
Hey guys, Andrew Knapp here, aka SRT Joker. SRT Joker on YouTube, playing Reinvald, level 2 Paladin of Odin. Hope it's a good game.
Sweet. Dennis?
I'm Dennis, and I'll be playing Vidar Hund, also called the Hound, who is a level 2 barbarian,
Sweet.
and who travels with a wolfhound pet, and that is it.
Has the hound got a name yet?
No, I should come up with one here
Gotta work on
momentarily, though. It's a little confusing that I'm the Hound and I have a hound, so it's
Right.
like...
Troy?
Alright, my name is Troy Spencer. I have a channel called DMT Tabletop Gaming, mostly live plays. I'm going to play a character named Frey Soren, otherwise known as Sori, and she's a level 2 female rogue.
Excellent. And Chris?
Christopher Carosella. I'm playing Alessandra, level 2 cleric of death.
Excellent. Okay. So last time, there was reports of a farm being set on fire, and the guy's going to go check it out. And all signs pointed towards it being a troll. So they followed the troll tracks into the forest and eventually tracked it down. Turns out it wasn't a troll, it was an elf. And that's pretty exciting because elves don't exist. They're fairy tales, they're not real, or so people thought. And so they encountered this elf. The elf killed 5 Huskarls from another Jarl, and they managed to bring the elf down in the end. Reinvald was blinded or lost an eye in the process, and eventually they managed to get their way back to town, gave a proper burial to those Huskarls, and woke the Jarl, who was not too pleased with being woken up. So we can start that night. So after you go to the Jarl, there's a big feast. Well, I guess more like a party, less of a feast because it's quite late. But the inn stays open all night. You guys party the night away if you want to.
What I do specifically is I peruse this feast for a young lass that's not too far out of my range. I do have a 9 charisma, so I'm a pretty ugly motherfucker at this point. I'm missing an eye, and I wasn't that pretty to begin with. But I'm gonna hunt for something within my range, and I'm going to try to spread my wild oats.
So you can, let's see, I would say Helga probably is within your grasp. She is the daughter of a farmer. She's grand, I guess. wouldn't point her out of a crowd, I guess.
All right, so I go over and I approach her and I start sweet talking her. I tell her things like, "Oh, your eyes are this beautiful black color, like the feathers of a raven. And oh, what fine hair you have! It flows like an Arctic stream." Throwing out these awful lines that would only work on an ugly chick.
Yep, they work. Nobody ever talks to Helga.
So I take Helga and I head upstairs. I throw the innkeeper a gold coin.
Yeah, no problem. So you get to work. What about the rest of you?
Well, I have some unfinished business, being that I'm in the process of divorcing from my husband. So you see Frey Soren. She stands at the oaken front door of her longhouse. This is where she's been calling home for the last 4 or 5 years since she's hooked up with this guy, or was claimed by this guy after her parents were killed. So a lone figure looms behind her, and that figure is Vidar. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, Dennis. So he's standing there and he's casting a big shadow over the door because he's like half giant. So I knock on the door and nobody answers. And I turn to Vidar and he fist flies forward and smashes the door. It shatters into 1,000 splinters. Going in, I'm into the room. You see a young naked girl jump up, startled from this sudden bursting of the door, and she jumps up, seeing me, and she starts running for the door. Soren, sorry, as I like to be called, I don't even give her a second glance. I've seen this before. So lying at the hearth in the center of the room is my so-called husband, this fat, oafish man, probably 50 winters, so significantly older than me. He's sitting there, and as he sees me, he starts to stand up, and he pulls a wolf skin from his where he was lying with this young girl, and he drapes it over his shoulder. I look him up and down, and I say to him, "Frocky, I have come to denounce this union before witness. I am no longer yours." And as the custom of the Vikings, I have to denounce this marriage twice, once at the door and once at the marital bed. So you see Sori, she starts and she walks over to where she is laid with this gross man many times, mostly due to the fact that she had to, not because she wanted to. And she says to him, and she says, "You claimed me when I was an orphan child, like I was a spoil from a raid." And she looks back at Vidar. "We both know that he couldn't raid even a rabbit hole. I doubt he could even find the hole of that young girl." And when I say that, Frocky, my husband, gets vicious, gets mad that I would be insulting his manhood, and he comes running towards me, and Sori does a spin move. She does a little twirl, and suddenly she's at his back. She thrashes down with her leg into his trailing knee, and he goes to the floor. I bring my dagger out quickly, and upon him, kneeling on his back with the dagger through his chubby, flat, flabby throat. Slow movement, and snip. I clip the cloak from him, and I pull the fur, lifting the cloak from his shoulders. I lean over him and whisper into his ear, the same ear that I had cut the chunk out of a few nights prior, and the dagger is then at his exposed buttocks. "Have little doubt, Froki, I know how to find the hole. I claim this cloak as my spoils. Do not pursue me or fight me in this, and you might live to see the face of another disappointed chambermaid." And with that, I get up to leave. And the half-giant that's with me, Vidar, he turns to close the door. Idiot. Didn't realize that he had smashed the door and there was no door left. But what he does see is the sniveling, weeping man, and the cries echo throughout the whole hold.
Nice. Some people definitely take note of some sort of weeping. Sounds like an old woman weeping upstairs. But they figure it's probably just Froki. He's a bit of a fucking bitch anyway. Not well respected in town. So you guys continue drinking into the night, I would assume. Let's try and consummate this thing then, Andrew.
All right, so before we get to that, what you see is this oaken headboard and a feminine hand come up, and it's stiff, like erect, and you can see cracked nails and like well-worn hands. It's a working woman's hand. It starts to tremble, and then it goes limp. You hear a thud as Reinwald falls down on the bed. He puts both of his hands behind his back and leans back against the headboard. He turns and looks out the cold window. It's morning light now. It's just starting to sizzle in. He starts to squint with his one good eye. And off in the distance, next to a tree with the fog rolling in, he sees a man wearing a long cloak and a long-brimmed hat. He leans over to get a look, and as the man turns, he's missing an eye and is carrying a spear. "What by the Allfather?" And I jump up and I run to the window and I look, but nothing's there. Odin. Alright, what do I need to do to consummate this?
Let's roll a con check.
Okay. And I believe it's going to be, it's 5. Let me make sure. Yep. Big money. Oh, it's a 12.
Okay, 12 is good. You just needed a 10.
Alright, so it feels good, and there's a smile on my face because I know I didn't miss.
The night continues. More drinking and carousing. And well into the night, you guys continue. And then the next morning, a moot is called. So you're called to the old standing stones outside the town. They've been there way before the town was ever here. They're definitely not in service to your gods. And getting there in the rain, it's been raining for a long time. But the entire town pretty much is standing around this rock, and on top of the rock is standing the Jarl in his leathers and furs. You see his beard is very well kept. He's got short cropped hair, kind of salt and pepper. And he stands there, and when everyone's arrived, says, "Hello, good morning, greetings. We've had some disturbing reports in the night. No one panic, but an elf was found." And a bunch of the guys make signs and they kiss the hammers they have on their necklaces. And he says, "I know it's disturbing. They managed to. Actually, I'll have them explain it. Reinvald, Vidar, sorry, Alessandra, come up here and explain what happened."
So I walk up to the front and I'm sweating bullets because I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a public speaker.
Vidar steps up as well. Unfortunately, not only is he still drunk, he still holds a tankard in his hand as he kind of sways back and forth in the rain, drinking, a wide grin plastered on his face.
I'm going to look at the stein and I'm going to look at the grin, or the tankard rather, and I'm going to say underneath my breath, Veruga. Think.
I'm going to go up and flank Ragnvald. Not going to say anything immediately. Just nod to the Jarl, who I don't particularly like, because he was the person that had not sold me to Frocky, but had given him permission to claim me as an orphan child to be his young bride.
So he's standing there, arms crossed, waiting for you guys to.
I scratch the back of my head and I think to myself, ah, shit. So I walk forward and I'm a little bit nervous. Fuck it. As you know, the Lord, our Jarl, sent us to investigate a nearby farm. We followed footprints into the woods, and there we saw it. And I look at a woman who's like holding her robe tight, like waiting to hear. An elf. And she's like, oh! And kind of jumps back a little bit as I say it. And I have a grin on my face. I just kind of look around. An elf. And it was fighting 5 housecarls. We didn't want to do anything, but our hands were forced. We engaged it. And my comrades felt they fought very well. We felt it. We brought back its head, and we showed the Jarl as proof.
Very good. The Jarl walks forward again. This is obviously a big problem. The men who were killed were Huskarls of Jarl Donarulf. He's not a man known for his patience. And now they're dead. And now they died in our lands, in my lands. This is obviously a tricky situation. Even worse is that there are clearly alfr in the woods. And I've been told stories. I was a child once. They told me about the Skog alfr who would come and take me away from my bed. I do not want that to happen here. He says, Einar, points to one of the guys in the crowd. Begin building walls, battlements, defenses, something. Some sort of line of defense so they can't just walk into the town. And Einar's like, okay. You know, Einar is like the carpenter in town, not a fortification man at all. He turns to you guys and he says, you have many things to do. You've proven yourselves very capable, and I appreciate that. I would like you to go speak to the Jarl Donarulf. But I would also like you to investigate these woods, see if you can find anything else that points to more alfr. How you do it is up to you.
Vidar takes a drink from his tankard, and now empty. He looking at the contents, kind of shaking it, then tossing it down into the mud, swaying back slightly as he turns to the Jarl. Those words from a man of your prowess are truly a compliment. He
Doesn't
just
quite
says
know how to take that. And he nods, kind of like, okay.
Are there any signs of more that you've seen of these alpha?
No, we've seen nothing. I didn't even think they were real until last night you brought the head back.
So just the one.
Have you sent messenger to the other Jarl to tell him of the unfortunate circumstances of his men?
I have not.
So you expect us to be your information pigeon?
Well, you were there. You saw what happened.
Surely. We can pass on the message.
My Jarl, there is another issue. We stripped the men of their armor and cached it at the nearby farm. I think it's probably, and you can tell me for certain, this is your decision obviously, but it's probably be in our best interest to return it to the Jarl.
His eyes widen. Yes, you had best return that. What did you do with their weapons? Were they burnt with them?
They were burnt on the pyre with the men.
Good. Then you've done well. The armor is incredibly valuable. I would assume if they're Huskars, they're wearing chain, some sort of mail. Very expensive. Something that the Jarl would certainly miss. It needs to be brought back to him.
Would it be possible for us to acquisition a cart? It was extremely heavy to drag from the woods.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Bernard kind of chuckles at that, but he doesn't make a comment.
Can we get a handler for the cart? Someone to drive it, maybe. For if we're fighting alfr, if we're going in search of elves in the woods, surely we can't be bothered with driving a cart.
Well, I think you'll find it difficult to drive a cart through the woods. If you want a cart driver, I can find someone to do it for you.
Well, that would be appreciated, Jarl.
Most kind, my liege. If it's possible, I would like to take a couple hours to prep before we head out on the journey.
Yes, not a problem. I wish you luck. If there's anything else you need, just come and find me. Everyone else, please help prepare the battlements. We're going to need them. And then he jumps down off the rock.
I'll just look at the Jarl with my spear and say, strength and honor, and turn and jump down.
Now, from visual or from history that we would know of said Jarl, would he have been a warrior himself at some point and earned this station?
Yeah. He was a warrior. He was quite a good warrior. But then once he got his Jarldom, he kind of stopped and kind of focused more on trade and stuff like that and living a simple life. He wasn't really that ambitious.
Now, is my buddy Rothgar there?
Your buddy who?
Rothgar, the guy I got into the fight with.
He is, yeah.
So as I'm exiting and walking back towards the village, I'll just look at him and make sure our eyes meet. And as that tension builds, I just give him a nod.
Yeah, he grins and nods in your direction.
As everyone starts to disperse, Vidar jumps down from the rock as well, splashing several people nearby with mud as he does so, and kind of stalks off, muttering to himself.
Okay, so what do you guys want to do in preparation?
Well, the big, pressing thing that I have arranged, I gave the barkeep a gold and told him to look for men of, the age of 14 to 18, preferably bastards or orphans that were strong of arm, that we might be able to hire as mercenaries to accompany us on the road. So I gave him a location to meet us. So I'm going to go stand at this location. It's basically outside of the village. We have these circular straw targets set up. They're marked at 30, 60, 100 feet, and I'm waiting there with 2 bows. kind of leaning against a rock to see who shows.
So you get
And
there a while before anyone actually arrives.
I tell these guys, I tell my comrades too, because I figure they're pretty good judges of character when it comes to hiring mercs.
Vidar goes with him, but he spends most of the time leaning in against something, snoring as he sleeps.
I'll flank him as well, and I'm actually got my leather top piece of my armor removed at this point, so my breasts are somewhat exposed in cleavage as I lean over upon a rock, and I'm like just curing or treating my armor, making sure that it's buffed up and ready to go.
Okay, so Vidar might not be asleep then. He might be watching Sari do her work.
Alessandra's gonna find a quiet place close to the party and kneel down and light an incense and begin to pray.
So it's a while before anyone actually arrives, but eventually these 4 kids rock up, I guess. They're probably about 15. Kind of spotty, freckle-faced, teenagers. And I guess you could say they're strong of arm. They're definitely not as strong as you guys are. But they're big enough for teenagers anyway. And the first one arrives a little bit before the rest. He's definitely kind of shy. He's like, "Oh, hello, sir. I heard you were looking for people to go on a mission."
I well met the lad, and I walk up and I ruffle his hair real good as I walk by, and I turn around and say, "You ever used one of these before?" And I hold up a bow.
Yes, sir. I hunt sometimes.
Very good. I throw it to him, take an arrow out, and stick it in the ground in front of him, and I point at the 30-foot target. Why don't you go ahead and show us what you can do? Take your time. Accuracy is important.
Sure. So he picks it up and he kind of gets the weight of it. He picks up the arrow and he knocks it like pretty competently. He takes a shot. So he hits not dead center, but he does hit the target area.
So Reinvald will just nod at that, and he says, "So tell me, boy, you have parents? You have a family? You have a job?"
No, sir. I don't have parents anymore. But I do some work for the innkeeper.
Reinvald bends down, and he puts his hand on the boy's shoulder, and he looks him square in the eyes. And I'm like piercing him with my gaze. Have you ever felt the warmth of a woman?
Of a girl, sir.
I turn and kind of like look at the rest of the party and shake my head in disgust, because I know I'm probably sending this boy to his death.
The rest arrive a little bit later. One of these guys is definitely a little cockier. He's very tall and pretty built. I'm like, hey,
You here for the job?
my name's Halgrim. Here you're looking for strong dudes going this little adventure here.
Very good. Here's this bow, Halgrim. Why don't you shoot that target 100 feet back?
No problem. He picks it up. He's clearly not an archer. He's trying to figure it out. And he's doing all this sort of stuff. He's squinting at the wrong eye.
Just before he releases it, Vidar jumps at him and roars out as loud as he can.
He goes, "Whoa!" Drops the bow. The arrow just like thuds into the ground right next to him, and he just like falls on his ass in the mud.
So these boys are all the same age, right? So he would have ran with this smaller boy at some point.
Right.
So is he embarrassed by this?
Big time, yeah. He's humiliated. He kind of gets up and wipes some of the muck off him. Kind of looks upset at Vidar, but also not saying anything because you're twice his height. So he's like, okay.
I think I'll have my use for you too, lad. Tell me one thing, though. You have a family?
Well, I guess I work for the kennel master. He's nice to me.
So be it. And there's a third lad as well, you said?
One more, yeah.
All right, so I'll grill him as well, ask him to take a shot, put him through his paces.
Yeah. He's really quiet, very serious, and he takes a shot and he hits it dead center. He just kind of nods.
So I don't even ask him the question. His accuracy is good enough. Frankly, I don't care. So I'm going to take out my coin purse and I open it up and I hand them each 3 gold coins.
So they're
Take
pretty
it for a
stunned by
second.
this. This is more money than they've probably ever seen.
We leave in an hour, lads. Do what you got to do. This isn't gonna be a picnic in the woods. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, sir. Okay, and they sprint back to town. They come back not long later with like some furs and stuff, and yeah, they're good to go.
All right, excellent. So I look around to the rest of the party and say, any of you guys have an extra bow?
I have a crossbow suited for the big lad.
I walk over to Sari, out of the range of what the kids can hear, and I say, no. We're going to have him walk in front of the cart.
Okay. We're going to use the big one as bait.
He's overconfident, rude, strong, and brash. He's exactly what we need as a first line. He's our canary in the mine.
The third lad, the one that shot true, the smaller lad. If any is to accompany me into the woods on my flanking end, he will be the one. The other 2 I have no use for. Do with them what you will.
So you're gonna give your crossbow to the skilled one, right? The one that hit bullseye.
That's right.
All right. So I'll pull my short bow and I'll toss it to the one that just managed to hit the target. And I'll give him a wink.
Thank you, sir.
Now we have our cart, right? Too,
Yeah.
Lloyd.
Mhm.
All right. So I walk over to the cart and I look at the boys and I say, "All right, you two," and I point at the 2 that were actual marksmen. And I say, there's going to be armor piled in the front, there's going to be armor piled in the back. You guys are going to sit in the middle. I don't want you out of the cart. I don't want you running around. Your job is simple. If anything comes out of those woods, fire on it.
So the one guy just nods, and the other guy's like, "Okay, I'll do my best."
Now the other kid, I was like, my lad, I see that you show the most promise of them all. So I want you up front with me.
Kind of puffs his chest up. "Oh, yes, sir."
I take a hatchet off of my belt band and I hand it to him.
Yeah, he's actually got like a little, clearly handmade shield. It's more like a couple of boards that have been like tied together. So he's got that in his left hand. He feels like he's a warrior.
I just look back at Sori as I give him the weapon and I wink.
So Alessandra finishes her prayer and she stands up and she has this new demeanor to her as she rises, like a woman who's accepted her fate, regardless of what it is. And she walks back towards the party with a new confidence and a look in her eye. And she says, "So what's the plan?"
Yeah, it's a good question. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to go straight to the Jarl, or do you want to go like to the forest first and look around? Or do you want to go to the Jarl and then the forest?
I think the Jarl might want to seek out some revenge for his fallen soldiers, his fallen Huskar also. If we were to go to him first, he might even be able to provide additional assistance. But if we were to go to him with more alfr prizes, dead heads of the elves, we might receive a greater reward.
Are you bringing the head of the one you killed?
If the Jarl gave it back to us, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the plan?
Okay, I got that bloody head in a small sack just tied to my side, draped around to the back.
While we're discussing what we're doing, I call one of the boys over and give them a couple gold and send them to get some more arrows and bolts to pile into the cart.
Yeah, no problem. One of them legs back to town, comes back a little bit later with some ammunition and stuff like that.
As it stands, there's not much that we can tell the Jarl. We found one of the alfrs and we killed it, but there could be more if we have that information when we see him. That could prove useful for our case.
And the forest is on the way, right? We would be doubling back in essence if we went through the Jarl first.
Right, you pretty much have to go, well, you would go through the forest if you didn't have a cart, otherwise you're going around it basically to go to his land.
Alright, so we're going to go up and flank and then go into the forest if that's what we decide to do. That's my vote, Vidar. I don't really care to be going and coming back. The further I get away from this hold and this Jarl and Frocky, the better.
Okay, so you guys start to make your way. So it's still raining. It's always raining. And it's a pretty boring journey. Just walking next to the cart, I mean, it's slow, it's pissing rain, it's pretty unpleasant. So it doesn't take you too long to get to the actual forest. You don't see anything, you don't hear anything unusual anyway, as you're continuing along. Probably about 2 hours in, you're about halfway past the forest. No, sorry, more than that. Probably about 4 hours in, you're halfway past the forest. And you see side of the road, there's a cart, and it's like stopped, it's like broken down basically. There's like this guy, and he's trying to do something with the wheel. And he kind of hears the guy's approach, and he's like, "Oh, hey, help me! Could you spare a hand?"
I look at the men and I say, "This is a job for you fellas."
Does he look like a commoner, or does he look like he's in armor or armed in any way?
He's dressed like a farmer.
But our size, people tend to consciously ignore him until they need something picked up or moved. He walks over, examining the cart and what the man's trying to do, and then assists, most likely probably just lifting it up so the man can repair the wheel or put a new one on.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, the wheel that is on there is cracked, and he's got another one he's trying to, like, at the same time lift the thing and put the wheel on. So he's like, could you help me lift this and I can put the wheel back on?
Vidar does not bother nodding. He just walks up and gets a firm grip and lifts it up.
Yeah, you can do that. So you're lifting it up. It's heavy enough. It's going to take both your hands and a bit of effort to do. And as you start lifting, you hear a bunch of arrows fly out towards you guys. So I'm going to have one go at each of you. So this is going to be against Ranvald. Pow! Your AC is like 18, right?
Yeah, sorry, what happened? Someone's winging something at me?
Yeah, so there's a guy with a broken down cart at the side of the road, and he asked for help. And then when Vidar went over and lifted up the cart, a bunch of arrows started flying at you guys.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I have 18 AC.
Then that's actually just going to hit. So let's see. It's a little short bow. Ooh, okay, 9 points of damage.
Alrighty.
Okay, next one's going to fly at Vidar. That's going to miss, I think. Next one is going to fly at Suri. That's going to miss too. And one at Alessandra. Oh, that's going to hit.
Now, how far is Alessandra from me?
I guess you guys are around the cart, so not far at all.
Alright, I'm going to use my protection feat then and jump and try to swat it with my shield, so you have to roll with disadvantage.
Okay. Yep, that one misses.
And
Nice.
so I jump up, smack! Just toke it with my shield.
So you see basically
coming for my chest, and the shield just knocks it down out of nowhere, and I look, my savior.
So basically out of nowhere, these guys have stood up from behind a shrub and all have bows and just like unleashed, and you see they're knocking another arrow. So roll initiative.
Are you gonna roll for me, Lloyd? Should I roll here?
You can roll there. It's fine.
All right.
16, Lloyd.
Okay.
I'll do
19.
5.
5 for me as well.
I got a -1. You go first. Unless you want to go last.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll go first.
Cool. Vidar, you're first.
So, as the arrows whiz by, Vidar roars out, releasing his grip on the wagon. How far away are these people?
They're on the other side of the road, so I would say probably like 30 feet max.
Okay, so yeah, that's in range. He's 35. So basically, yeah, he's just gonna grab his axe, roaring out, and charge into them. His hound Tor right beside him. So I'm just gonna take a swing at the first one that I see. So yeah, that's 22.
Yeah, it's gonna hit.
16.
Oof. So the axe like bites into this guy. You hear a Wilhelm scream. Yeah! Guy goes flying into the air, lands about 20 feet away. Just a pile of bits as you just slice this guy totally into bits. The rest of the guys holding the bows are just like, oh fuck! And they're like trying to turn their bows around in time.
And my hound is gonna leap in the air at the one beside the one that I just felled.
Cool, go for it.
1.
Oh, okay,
Natural.
nice.
Yeah, he crit, so he's gonna probably sail right by it.
Yeah, he's gonna sail right by, and one of the guys gives him a sly kick as he jumps by. So after that, sorry, you're next.
All right, so I can't believe the audacity of these brigands, these highwaymen trying to attack us. So I'm going to run to the full extent of my movement, 30 feet up the road, and then flank into the woods to kind of cut off any escape if they try to run in the opposite direction away from us.
Yep.
And I'm going to use my bonus action to hide behind like a tree or a rock.
Yep, no problem.
And that if I'm still in range, I'm going to shoot my short bow at one of them that's closest to Vidar and his hound.
Okay, go for it.
I'm not gonna mess with it this round, but I forgot if he should have had advantage, the hound, on his roll.
I rolled a critical fail, so I exerted a lot of energy getting up and flanking to cut off their escape route. So I'm winded, and I pull up my bow. It's only a short bow, but I'm not a large woman, so I wasn't able to draw it back to the full extent to get the velocity I needed.
Okay, gives a percentile.
All right, cool. Gonna shoot Vidar in the ass. Love it.
It's either going to be that or the bowstring snaps, so let's hope it's Vidar.
88.
That's the bowstring snapping, unfortunately.
Okay.
So you put it back like way too far, you're like not focusing what you're doing. Just snaps. Shit.
Good thing I gave that young lad a crossbow.
Okay, then it's going to be them. So the guy who was right next to Vidar, he pulls out a knife and he runs up towards Ranvald and Alessandra. He's going to try and swing for Ranvald, I guess, because he's in the way. Ooh, he's going to hit. That's a whopping 1d4. Okay, it's going to be 5 points of damage. So he kind of runs up to you. He's got the knife, and he's kind of got a low stance, and he just gets in under your guard and gets a little cheeky stab in. The guys with the bows, they just fucking throw them on the ground. They whip out hatchets and stuff, and they are gonna go for Vidar, see if they can attack. So the three of them are gonna go for you. Actually, one of them's gonna go for the dog. So we'll do the two on you. Ooh, I think those both miss. And then one attack on the dog. What's the dog's AC? 11, right?
Let's see. Yeah, 13.
13. Okay. Well, they'll still hit. So let's see. Ooh, wow. 8 points.
Still up, but it's really hurt.
So there's a whimpering. One of them like connects with a hatchet against the dog. And then Ranvald, you're next.
Can I control my lads this turn too?
They actually have their own turn.
Oh, they have their own stuff coming up?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll do then is... Alright, so here's what it looks like. Imagine this through my eyes. My body's heaving. I have a crossbow bolt sticking out of my rib cage. A knife just pierced me in the other side. I look down and I bring a glove up and it's covered violet. And I'm like... And as my eyes widen and just lose focus, I see up in a tree behind it a shadowy outcast land, and I'm like, oh. And it turns its head, and it's a raven, and it starts pecking at itself. And I look down again, and my wound is gone, and I cast lay hands on myself.
Nice.
So it restores 10 HP.
Sweet. Very cool. You can have inspiration for that. That was great. Alessandra.
So, Alessandra will stay behind Rangvald and look at this creature and mutter under her breath, nobody hearing what she says. And she kind of waves her hand at it, and you see this shimmer ignite around him. And he needs to make a dexterity saving throw of 13.
He fails.
So he will take 7 points of damage as you see the shimmer start to ignite around him, almost like an aura, and then all of a sudden he ignites in flame. As you know, I've summoned the flame from my deity, and he screams out in pain for a brief second, and then the flame dies back down.
He collapses to the ground on his back, smoldering leftovers. So the lads go next. The guy at front, who thinks he's a bit of a hero, he charges the guys next to Vidar, and he's gonna make an attack. Okay, not bad. He's gonna hit. Okay, sweet. So he actually gets a pretty good hit on somebody. The kind of nervous guy is going to shoot his crossbow at the same guy, and also rolls a 14. He also hits. What kind of crossbow is it?
You would know, Troy. Was it a heavy crossbow?
It was just a light crossbow.
I think that's a D8, is it?
It is a D6.
D6. Okay, nice. He actually gets a perfect shot. It hits him right in the throat, and the guy falls over dead. And then the confident one, he's going to go and take a shot, and he misses dramatically. So I guess he's or the quiet one. I mean, I guess he's not as good as he thought he was.
So Reinvald sees that, and I'm going to yell at the two boys that are in the cart. Jump down on this side of the cart, lads! Use it as cover!
Oh, yes, sir! And they jump out. So then, Vidar, you're up again. Vidar?
Yeah, sorry. So, As he hears the whelp of his hound, his vision goes red. The anger, the rage welling up with him as he welcomes it, unleashing it, roaring out as he swings at the one closest to him in a blind rage. Eight. 14.
Yep.
$11 points of damage.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to kill him too. So another ruined body left. Splat. What about the dog? Is it running away or is it going to attack?
It will attack as well as if there's one left.
There is one left, yeah.
Vidar. So, bleeding profusely from its side, it will turn, skidding, and then leap out at the last one. Oh.
Ooh. Yeah, okay, it kills him. So the dog leaps up right in the throat, gets him on the ground, and that's the end of those guys. So yeah, clearly traveling with this much valuable stuff is quite dangerous.
Now, was that codger that was standing next to the cart, was he one of the dudes we killed?
Yeah, he pulled out a knife and stabbed you.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. So, I'm going to instruct the two lads to jump back on the cart, and as the one comes back with the hatchet and his little homemade shield, I'm going to nod at him and say, "Well done, boy."
He swells with pride. He's delighted with himself.
Did
You
the
see
young
the other
lads,
two guys who were in the cart are a bit shaken after like attacking people.
the young lads perform better than myself. I'm gonna slink off into the woods to where this fallen are and see if I can see if the quality of their short bows are as good as the one that I was using. If not, I can see if I can at least retrieve some string or whatever to restring
Yeah,
my bow.
they're not terrible bows anyway. They're definitely better than the broken one you have.
Then I will be claiming one of them and just going through their pockets and stuff. I know they're highwaymen, so they're probably not rich, but just to see if they have any valuables.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got almost nothing. They've got like a couple weapons and stuff, and you probably find, I don't know, 8 gold pieces between a lot of them.
Once Tor finishes tearing out the throat of the man, the hound whimpers, limping towards Vidar, pretty much falling at his feet. His gleam of bone glimpses beneath the blood that pours from him. Vidar kneels down, checking him out, trying to put a hand to stave the wound, but he has no kind of medical expertise at all.
So Alessandra, seeing the this giant man hunched over his companion, and the worry in his eyes, approaches him. And though she doesn't usually offer her services to animals, she considers it the hound part of the party. So she looks at the giant and she says, "Would you like for me to do what I can to help your dog? I don't guarantee that I'll be able to heal him completely, but..."
Yes, whatever you can do, please help him.
Okay, so she bends down and she starts rummaging through her med kit, and she pulls out this salve that she has, and she pulls out her water skin and she cleans the wound off. The dog whimpers as the cold water touches it. She whispers to it soothingly and pets its head. She takes the salve and she kind of cakes it in to stop the bleeding, and then she wraps it up with a bandage.
Cool. Yep. Stops the bleeding. Absolutely. The dog is still obviously in pain, but it's looking a lot better than it was.
Um, would you say we have enough time here to take a short rest?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. While I'm resting, I'm gonna expend a hit dice, and I'm gonna try to coach the two kids in the back of the wagon. I'm gonna walk over and look at the one closest to me. He's really, really small. It's the freckled one. He's shaken. Say, it's your first time seeing death, wasn't it, boy?
Yes, sir.
Don't worry about it. This is not the end. These men, they moved on. They're with the gods now, for better or for worse. We aren't killers. We're not murderers, boy. We're just warriors. We're conduits. We just move souls. That's all it is. Today, Odin smiled upon you. He shot well, and I'm looking at the one with the crossbow.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Just remember, boy, when everything's said and done, it was either he died or you died. Never underestimate the power and the will to survive. And I'll ruffle his hair.
He kind of like gulps. Okay. I'll do my best.
Don't worry about it. Things are going swell. We'll get to this other city, and I'm sure you boys will find good work there. And I turn my head and I have a look on my face like, yeah! And I'm going to go ahead and roll my recovery.
So yeah, short rest if anyone else wants to roll some hit dice. Okay, so do you guys want to go into the forest now and look for the elves, or do you want to go straight to the town?
Sori's a bit indifferent. She doesn't care either way. She is confident we're going to achieve both. So I don't care which one we do first. But we're already here at the forest, so logical mind that she has would say, let's just do this now. But then we're leaving the cart at the mercy of being protected by these three people that Ragnvald just hired.
Well, they
It's
did just prove
risky.
themselves from battle.
Yeah, they just kicked ass.
It seems like this cart with this armor has a big sign and a signal fire saying rob us. So I'm guessing the longer we have this thing on the road, the more trouble it's going to be for us, the ones who are guarding it. Maybe we should just power on through and get this thing straight to the Jarl.
As this conversation is happening after Alessandra has staunched the bleeding of his hound, Vidar cradles the creature in his arm, much like the image of a child cradled in the arms of its mother, as he carries him over to the wagon and lays him down in beside the two boys. Yes, I think the sooner we are parted with this wagon, the better.
Okay, no problem. So you guys keep going along the road in the rain, and it's not too long before you see the town up ahead. Much bigger than the town you were in. It's got strong wooden walls, and there's actually people patrolling the walls as well. You get to the gate, and there's just one gruff-looking dude standing outside. Got a big, huge cloak over him, so he's not getting wet in the rain. What do you want?
I'll step forward and tell them we've been sent to see the Jarl. We have urgent business.
It's a ballsy move. You don't see the Jarl. I don't know who the hell you are. I would have let you in here.
We have information.
How tall is this gate?
It's more. There's no like roof on it. It's just like they just have doors basically.
And how tall are the doors?
I don't know. I'd say the walls are probably 15 foot high, so about 15 foot.
I'll walk up to the wall, having to glance up some, but obviously much taller than most that come to this wall. We need to speak with the Jarl. We can do that with you alive, or with you dead, but we will speak with him.
I walk out with my hand. Wait. Just look at this. Lads jump out. And I pull a piece of the chain from the housecarls that he would know belongs to them, and I hold it up.
What? What happened?
There was a bad ambush in the forest. Your housecarls are dead.
And with that, I pull the bloody head sack from behind my back, tied to my back, and I open it up just enough for him to see the face of the elf male. I don't give them the sack. I hold it dear, but I show him. Say, this is what we faced. This is what fell your fellow huskarls, your Jarl's men. We're here to tell them the tale. We want to do so in person.
All right. So seeing the elf head, he just touches like reflexively the Thor's hammer he has around his neck, and he kind of shouts, "Open the gate!" They get opened up, and you're able to come into the town. It's mostly mud. There's no like stone roads or anything, but it's quite a large building at the end. Well, actually, more in the center, up on a hill. And it's got this kind of quite a fancy roof with like a dragon carved in each end. So you get there pretty quick. You get some weird looks, Vidar, as you walk through the town. A lot of people kind of ushering children away into doorways and stuff out of the way of this.
Yeah, he is still angered about what happened to his trusted pet, and he'll actually stride in first, not waiting for the doors to fully open, his large axe over one shoulder pushing at the other door as he just kind of stomps in.
Yeah, people are definitely nervous. You see a couple of warriors kind of look, and then they see that the guard is with you, and they go back to their business. So you get to the actual longhouse, and the doors open up, and you see it's quite comfortable. Stone on the inside, stone floor, with a big fire pit in the middle. And at the end of it, sitting on the throne, is the Jarl. He's pretty big. He's got this thick blonde beard and a single strip of blonde hair in his head. And he's currently quite interested in looking at his own nails. He's kind of biting his nails and kind of dealing with them. Definitely not looking in the direction as the door opens. The guard comes in and says, "Jarl Donarulf, visitors with ill news." He just kind of puts a hand up and continues looking. Yes. What do you want?
I'm gonna turn to the kids and say, "You'll make yourself busy, lads. This is where the journey ends."
Yeah, they're happy enough to back out of the building.
I'll stand up and walk forward and say, "Jarl Donarulf," and I'll take a knee, putting my shield and my spear down and bowing my head. "We have been sent to return a shipment. We saw your men get ambushed in the woods, 5 of your housecarls dead. We gave them a proper funeral and we brought you back their arms."
His eyes widen. Dead?
Dead.
You see, he kind of just rubs his face. Dead. You come here to tell me that my men are dead, brothers of mine, Carls. You come to tell me this. Who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? Who are
I
you to
turn
bring this
without.
news? You see my men killed, and you come here. What do you want?
I don't raise my head. I just turn and I spit back. "Sorry, show him the head."
With Ragnvald's suggestion, I step forward and I do like a little bowling move where I go down on one knee and slide forward with the bag, and the head comes tumbling out of the bag and goes tumbling up to the Jarl's feet. I was like, see what killed your men."
He looks down. What is this? He picks it up. What is this? Some charade? Some fucking trick? He
No,
throws the head to the side.
no charade, Honorable Donarulf. This one alfr, as it was told to us, we saw him. He killed 5 of your men single-handedly. They fought well. They fought to the end, but they were no match for him.
There is nothing on this earth that could kill 5 of my men single-handedly. I know those men. They're my best men, my bravest men, brothers to me. Siegfried and Thorsten, Bjorn, Torvald, and Einar. They're heroes. And you tell me that this fucking thing killed them?
We saw it with our own eyes. We were there.
And then we in turn killed it.
You. Look at you. You're not worth one of my men, all 5 of you.
I jump up and say, Jarl, it was your men's courage, their power, and their guidance that took the beast down. We just gave them aid. Unfortunately, they did not survive.
We gave them proper burial. We brought their armor back. It sits outside in the cart for you to reclaim.
I'm sorry.
This is some sort of trick. That sniveling shit of a Jarl you serve. This is his trick, to kill my men in the night.
Jarl Donarulf, the incompetence of the man we serve is legendary. There's no way he could kill your men if he wanted to.
I'm tired.
Now, I assume that the armor would show the devastation that befell the bodies of how they were chopped and stuff.
It would,
So,
yeah.
Vidar's going to stalk out to the cart, grabbing 2 fistfuls of the armor and come in and throw them down at the feet.
One of the servants, I guess, picks it up and has a look at it. You can see that there's like a slash that's gone right through, and that's not something that happens. It's like, what? How can that be? Maybe there is some truth to this.
Alessandra steps forward and looks at him with steady eye and says, "What we tell you is the truth. And there may be more of these creatures in the woods."
Going to go into detail and tell him exactly where we came upon the battle in the woods, the circumstances of us tracking the footprints into the woods, the battle that ensued. Just try to see if we can get some facial expression, acknowledgement of him knowing that his men would have been in the woods during that time.
Yeah, he looks uncomfortable about it. Says, yes, I had sent them. For what purpose, I cannot tell you. But they were in the woods. Somehow they stumbled upon this thing, you say. Yet you got away, and now 5 of my best men, my best friends, are dead. And all I have is this ruined armor and you shits standing in front of me. What good is that to me?
Well, there's something more, Jarl. I stand up full. The house in the west, the outpost our Jarl runs, is feeble. The man's incompetent, his followers are incompetent. He sent us here, but we would have came anyways. We've heard tales of your power, of your prestige, of your leadership, and I turned just to look at the faces of the people with me, like, yeah, I'm doing this. I know that we can't replace your housecarls. We wouldn't try to replace them. But as part of paying for their death, as part as paying for the incompetence that we weren't able to save them or render them the aid necessary to survive, take us into your house and let us serve you.
So he has his feet up on what looks like to be a bunch of pillows and blankets, and then the pillows and blankets move. You see, it's actually a fucking huge wolf, like enormous, and it stands up, and it's probably 6 foot tall at the shoulder, and it just like gets up and it walks over next to him and sits down and lays its gigantic head in his lap. He just pets it. Do you know why they call me Donarulf? Do you know what that means? Do you speak the old language? It means Thunderwolf. This is a Thunderwolf. Do you think that you could be Thunderwolves? Is that what you think? You think you can be one of my men?
I look at it and I say, I've never seen its equal. But if you allow us to try, I'm sure each of us has the courage and the mettle to find out.
So you say there are alfr in the woods. Go and exact my vengeance. Find another and kill it. Bring its head back to me. And then we'll think about letting you serve me. If you want to become a turncloak, Odin will see to you when you get to Valhalla.
Jarl, I do not speak for these men. I only speak for myself, and I turn and look at them.
Breaking an oath is not a light thing to do. However, that Jarl is an incompetent little shit, so I can understand why you'd want to come serve me. He goes back to looking at his nails. My victories are numerous. I'm not surprised that you've heard of me or my valor. I suppose I do need capable people. As I said, go and kill me some alfr. Bring them back here, and we'll see.
I look at my half-giant friend and I say, Vidar, what say you?
I say we hunt.
And my eyes go over to the staunch, untamed bitch that's as wild as the seas. Sorry.
As always, Ragbold, I'll be by your side.
And then my eyes go over to the fair maiden, Alessandra.
She looks at the Jarl and smiles and says, I would be honored to take orders from a man of your stature.
And he gets up and he walks over towards you guys, towards Vidar actually, and the wolf pads along next to him. You can actually hear the of its feet as it walks. It's huge. He walks over and he kind of gets right close and kind of walks around you, Vidar. Like puts his hand on your shoulder. Cold. I've never seen one of you before. Interesting. Rare large. Suppose you could be useful. Very well. Go and bring me the head of another alfr. As many as you can. And if you can make it back here alive, I'll be impressed.
We will see it done, my Jarl. Oh, but there is one last thing. The 3 boys that arrived with us, is it okay if they stay here for the time being? I not dare take them on a hunt for elves.
Yeah, I'll find a way to make them useful. Now go, on board with you.
I walk out quickly.
I'll say, my trophy, do you mind if I reclaim it? For I was the one that caused the creature to fall in the end.
Yes, whatever. He walks back to his throne. The head has just been tossed to the side anyway, so you can go pick it up.
Alright, I'm going to do so. Put it back in my bag.
Alright, he walks back to his throne, and the wolf follows him and lays down in front of him and puts his feet back up. And he goes back to inspecting his nails.
Actually, before he does so, as he had moved around Vidar had been studying the wolf with interest and attempts to reach out to touch it, running his fingers along its fur.
Yeah, it's not aggressive. It kind of looks at you. You definitely see more than animal intelligence in it. There's kind of an understanding, much more than you would get from a dog even. And then it walks back with the Jarl. So thunderwolves are actually like legendary creatures. They're not something that you would see often. You know that the very famous Lord Gunn has a den where he breeds them, um, but that's kind of hearsay. No one knows if it's true or not. That's a rumor about him.
As Vidar turns and leaves, his thoughts turning to the image of his Jarl, and then of this one, and the creature that sits beside him, and it only makes the decision more firm in his mind that what he's doing is the right thing.
Like, as soon as we get outside the doors, I run to the ledge and there's like a wooden perch, and I walk on it and look down over the Jarl's little empire. And I turn around with a big grin on my face that goes from ear to ear. And I'm looking at Vidar, and I say, "One day, Vidar, this is going to be ours."
Vidar returns the grin just as widely, a deep rumbling laugh building in his chest and echoing outward.
Perfect. So you guys make your way to the forest, I assume?
Yeah, we'll double back.
Mhm.
So it doesn't take you that long to get there. And you guys start to go in, and do you have any idea what you're looking for? Like what kind of signs you're looking for?
All right. So, go ahead, Vidar.
Okay, first, just a question. Would any of the hit points been restored to my hound at this point?
Yeah, like we can say you guys took a rest in the other place.
Okay.
That's fine.
We did track the first one into the woods the first time, so we have some kind of semblance of what a. But he was
bleeding
faking
very
it.
heavily, so you followed the trail of blood.
Oh, not the
Right.
footprints per se.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I would do is have Tor sniff and get the scent of the head, even though I'm sure it's pretty decayed now. But
It's only been 2 days or 3 days, right?
yeah, so it would still have some of the original scent, and and also use him to see if he can pick up the scent as we're traveling through the woods.
Gotcha.
Well, are we going on night, Lloyd, or what time is it?
It's up to you guys. You can wait until nightfall if you want.
Well, I'm imagining us like sitting around a fucking fire, and we all just came to the realization that with the promise we just made the Jarl, not a single one of us actually knows what an elf is or where to find one. So you just see like a glowing face, and it goes around in a circle as I'm looking at each of us, and I'm like, "Well, you guys know anything about elves?"
Only that they should all be at their heads on a pike.
I'm trained in religion. I speak alfr.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of is good, but it's not going to help you find them, I don't think. That's the issue is like actually tracking them.
Right.
But with the scent and everything, I'll give you guys like a decent survival roll. If you roll, I'll give you guys a decent chance.
All right, and if the dog does go trotting off into the woods in a certain direction, I am going to be the scout for the group and get out in front of everyone when that time comes, just so you know. Yeah, we don't have any. All the stories were just like nighttime horror stories that our parents would have told us about hell.
Right, stories you would have heard would be like, if you're a bad boy, then the Skog will come at night and they'll bring you into the forest and they'll eat you. Those are the stories you would have heard.
Now, thinking back to our previous encounter when we came upon that alfr, was there normal woodland sounds, forest sounds of animals and stuff around, or was it quiet?
Yeah, there were sounds. He was just in the forest.
Okay.
And he went there to kill some farmers, did he not? Is that why we were sent there initially? I can't.
Right, like a farm had been attacked and burnt, and all the people had been killed and pinned to a tree.
But we don't know if he did it or someone else.
Yeah, you're not sure, but I mean, the signs point to yes. He had been wounded and then fled back to the forest.
Well, I'm going to look at Vidar, and I'm going to say, imagine this for a moment. And I lean over the fire, and the smoke's coming up in front of my face, and it's just like this hellish look. We went and we told the Jarl that his men died to an elf. We brought him no proof or anything at all, just the tidbit of information that his men never returned. We described a place in the woods. He would probably have sent men after them to go look to see what happened. Now, Varuga. An elf leaves. They send him somewhere. He doesn't come back. Days go by, the elf doesn't return. Perhaps they send somebody to look for him. What I'm saying is, maybe we should go back to where we killed the last one.
Your logic is sound, Ragnvald. But do elves think like Northmen? Do they have honor?
When you say my logic is sound, I cross my arms and I look up and there's a twinkle in my eye and I go, like I'm the king of the world.
So is that where you guys want to go? Try and find a way back to the original site?
As Rangvold leans forward, the fire casting eerie shadows over his face, and he grins as he speaks. It draws Vidar in, much like a child listening to a ghost story around a fire, leaning forward himself as he listens, nodding in agreement at the idea of it. That would be a good place to start.
Okay.
I'm starting to think the whole plan is a bit foolhardy. I realized, coming to the realization from the stories that I have known, that the elves are creatures of the forest, and that we're going into their realm to try and trap them. It's all starting to sound like a little silly to me. I'm like, we're like trying to trap a bear inside his den. It's like it's not good. So I'm very nervous.
And while Sari is having that realization, Vidar is just growing more excited at the prospect of testing his strength and courage against these creatures.
Listening to Sari's nitpicking over the plan, Reinval just kind of like leans against the tree. He's like, well, Sari, what do you recommend? Shall we go out into the country, set up a farm, build it from nothing to a thriving establishment, have children, have them cultivate the land, build a barn, and then have it get burnt?
Now this is brutal too, because this is what happened to me and my family. My family was destroyed by elves some 15 years prior, leaving me an orphan. So this is cutting deep.
So what's the plan, guys?
I do though, while I'm cutting this like thick wound on Sari, I do come to the realization, well, there's probably some more farms that are next to the forest somewhere. You guys know of any?
Yeah, you do. You know of a couple.
Well, if you don't want to fight the elves in the forest, I could use a little homegrown cooking. Shall we go pay a visit to the farm?
You're just looking for the farmer's daughter. But again, your plan is sound.
Lies! Accusations! I turn to Vidar. Do you think there'll be a daughter?
Let's hope. My bed has been awful cold of late as well.
You see an eyebrow raised over the eye that's not there. So it's like this. Eyebrow raises over it.
So what's the plan, guys?
Well, how about you, Alessandra? You are the wisest among us, surely.
She chuckles at that. I think that we should use some type of bait, if possible. Perhaps one of the young boys.
We left them back at the Jarl Donarulf's. I'll volunteer to be bait, but how do you propose using me?
Sorry, it's too dangerous.
Tie me to a tree.
Don't risk yourself like that.
Well,
So
for one,
while you're
could...
suggesting it...
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Dennis.
Vidar says, well, for one, you could carry that head out in the open. Perhaps that could draw them to us. if you truly wanted to go in that direction.
All right, so can we try and find like a proper place for like a ambush if we were able to decide for such a thing? And I could like hang the head from a corded rope and hang it from a tree, and then we can like flank the grove or whatever and try to set up like an ambush.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys are moving through the forest, looking for a place to set up a suitable ambush. And it's probably about an hour and a half in where you find this grove. You kind of only see it passively at the side of your vision. It's kind of geometrically perfect. It's got 5 sides, this grove, and in the middle is this big old ash tree, and carved along it is some sort of text around the bark of the tree. But there's dense foliage all around the place, good places to hide.
So these
Out of my backpack.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, out of my backpack, I pull a pair of the manacles and I throw them at your feet. Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna grab them and move over to the tree stump.
It's a full tree.
Okay, so are these type of environments commonplace, or is this something that we're not familiar with?
You notice that it's odd. You notice that it's unusually perfect in terms of its shape as a grove. There are like pretty much straight lines where the foliage stops, and there are 5 sides, and in the middle is this tree.
Wait. The tree is sacred.
There's definitely something unnatural about this place.
You want to get the elves' attention? Screw the head, screw the live bait. Let's set that tree on fire. And I point at the tree isolated in the center of the grove.
Can I make a religion check to see if I know anything about any tree worshippers?
Yeah, definitely.
The old gods, the old ways.
Yeah, 7.
You say 7?
Yeah, 7.
Right. You said you can read alpha, right?
Yes.
Well, then the text on the tree is readable, and it's talking about a hunt. It's talking about a hunt, about some sort of glorious hunt, and how that's the sacrifices we made here for the prey that is caught. And you reckon anything that references a hunt probably has to do with Cerunnos, who is the god of the hunt.
So I kind of look at these carvings and I translate them to the party, what I can read, relaying what you just said, telling them that it speaks of glorious hunt and sacrifices made.
Torch it.
Taking a closer look as well, you can see lots of bones and stuff around the base of this tree. Now that you're close to it, you can see that kind of all around it, almost as if the tree is like feeding on them.
I look at the tree as I get close to it, and I become like completely bewitched by it. I stick out my hand and start tracing down the bark. What a beautiful thing this tree is. No, we can't burn it. To destroy such a thing would be a wretched act, but we can make them think we burned it. Let's start a signal fire next to it.
As soon as you put your hand on the tree, you get this flash, like of this creature, upper body of a man, these sharp teeth, lower body of a horse with these huge antlers, and it's just charging after a running person, and it grabs and begins to feed in a split second, and then when you let go, the vision disappears.
So I stand with my palm shaking about 2 inches from the tree. I've had a vision. And I relay that.
Surely not a creature of this world, for I've heard or know of nothing that meets that description.
If this is for a hunt, then it surely is the hunter.
So you hear a voice. It says, An seo Tomid ag dúirteach an fuil an fioch, an seo Tomid ag Jobert ar diacorm. And out of absolutely nowhere steps an alfr. Seemingly from behind the tree, but that can't be. The tree isn't thick enough. He just steps out. He's definitely dressed fancier than the other one that you had seen. The other one definitely was like wearing very little. This one has robes on. And you see one of those sort of sickle curved swords at his side. And instinctively, he sees you go for your weapons. He says, "Do not be stupid. I am here to inform you of something, not to destroy you. If I was hunting you, you would already be dead. You storm around this forest like a maddened boar, like children. Will you listen, or will you die?"
I look back at my comrades and let out a... I think there's truth in what he says, and my eyes dart to my half-giant friend. And I just shake my head, and you can see something materialize off my lips, and it's Veruga.
Vidar growls, but then says, I don't see the harm in listening to you before we put you to your death.
Such arrogance. Very interesting. He starts to pace around the clearing and says, "Too long have our people kept to the forest. Too long have we allowed your kind to spread across the land like a sickness. The triumvirate have met and decided that you are a blight on this ancient and beautiful land. And so, like a cancer, we will cut you out of it. We will remove you from this land. Go and tell whatever worm commands you."
Forest Lord, I'm guessing at this triumvirate you had, there was no representation for our kind.
Why would we treat with you? You are. He starts to laugh like uncontrollably. He wipes away a tear. Why would we treat with you? You are as insects to us.
I begin pacing. Within your kind, do you not have rank? Do you not have order?
We do. The triumvirate guides us.
So there is a concession there that not all elves are equal.
I suppose.
And would you also say that not all beings are equal?
Certainly.
What is the standard by which you decide which being is the greater?
There are many. For us, skill of the hunt, power, strength, intelligence, wit. Zealotry, also important. Devotion to the horned god. And yet you temporary beings lack all of these.
And were these desirable traits, these virtues, decided upon as by your people as a whole? Did they come out of culture, or were they decided by the strong and the powerful?
They were
Those
decided
capable.
by the gods.
Hmm. So elves are the only ones with gods.
Yes.
I look up to
Whatever
the tree.
mystic creatures you believe in are not true gods. They are young and foolish. They make rash decisions. They are not true gods. You know nothing about what it is to be a god. Your gods know nothing about what it is to be a god.
So you presume to know what it is to be a god. Does your god not believe that to be sacrilege?
I presume nothing. I have spoken with my god at great lengths. Can you say the same?
I look up at the tree as two ravens land on both sides of it, and I smile. My God is the father of all, even your God.
Can you imagine what this is like for me, human? This would be as if you were walking through the forest one day and a squirrel came to you and asked you about your certainty in your gods and told that the squirrel god was the father of all gods.
But yet it is not so, because you're the one here asking us to do something for you. Why don't you walk out by yourself and go tell the Squirrel King that he can go fuck himself? It's a great idea, right? I mean, you're such a mighty being, why don't you just walk in by yourself and go tell the Squirrel King that he's nuts?
I could do that. And
Hmm.
yet, I won't.
Compelling.
I have asked you to do this, and yet you refuse. And so I must respond with a hunt. I'll give you an hour to leave the forest. If you're not out by then, I'll unleash the hunters, and you'll never see the outside of the forest again.
I want to turn and I want to look at Vidar, and I'm going to search the truth in his eyes. What did they say, Vidar? What do your eyes tell old Reinvald?
What they always say, he's ready for a fight.
So I'll turn and I'll look at Vidar and I'll say, as I look up at the sky, Lord of the Forest, you have 1 hour to vacate this grove. If you do not, I will release my hounds upon you, and you will be hunted.
I did not expect this. The gods did not show me this. Very, very interesting. Well, if you're happy to sit here for an hour, we'll see what happens.
I'm going to turn and I'm going to look at Vidar, and I'm going to nod at the tree.
At the nod, Vidar gets a wide grin on his lips as he tightens his grip on his axe, then spins, striking out at the tree.
Okay, get an attack roll. Actually, you don't even need to, it's not moving. So yeah, you just hack into the tree and the elf just screams, "No! No!" And there's like this sort of moan as you hit the tree.
I'm going to narrate it underneath my breath. Quite magnificent, isn't he? Have you ever seen a half-giant take down a tree? All other lumberjacks pale in comparison.
Oh, such sacrilege! The blade is in his hand. So let's do initiative.
$17.
Got a 3. We're good.
Sorry? You get sorry?
I got a 9.
And Alessandra?
5. My bad.
Words. Okay, so shockingly enough, the elf goes first. And he is going to go straight for Vidar because he committed such a sacrilege. He's going to swing with his blade and miss horribly. So that's good news for you. So he swings, and you step out of the way, and the blade connects with the tree and slices a chunk out of it, and he just looks on in horror at what he's done. He pulls the blade back out and goes for another swing.
Reinbold's gonna shout sacrilege when the elf hits the tree.
Nice.
Okay, I think that one's going to do it, though.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Ooh. So it's going to be... no, hang on. He's got plus 4. So it's going to be 13. No, 15, sorry. So this metal that you've seen in the other blade slices right through all of your defenses and cuts deep. And he brings it about, and he just looks looks to you guys and then back to the tree, constantly making sure the tree is okay.
He didn't do any audible pronunciation to his peers or anything, and when he said he was going to claim and call on the aunt, he didn't do anything.
He didn't. No, not really.
Okay.
I'm going to yell out to the rest of the party. Ignore the elf, destroy the tree! It's the only chance.
Oh, sorry, I have to tell you who's next. So, Vidar, you're next.
Okay, so as he buries his axe into this tree and this creature charges him, he laughs, a loud bellowing sound as the creature's blade bites into the tree as well. As the blade then strikes him, digging deep into his side, knocking him a couple of steps. The pain quickly falls away as red fills his vision, going into a rage as he charges the creature. So that's only 8.
That's gonna miss. Then, sorry, you're next.
All right, so I'm going to take the head of the fallen elf, and I'm gonna throw it at this guy, just like toss it in his general direction, just to see if I can distract him further, and then I'm going to attack twice.
Okay.
With short swords. Alright, so the first one is a miss. The second one is a hit. So I'm going to stab down into his leg, his quad, with a straight dagger shot to, or sorry, short sword shot to the leg. So I don't get my sneak attack. I get that on the first attack, correct?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the first attack or the first attack that hits. I'm not sure, but.
I did. I'm whopping 1 damage. Fuck.
You just kind of graze his leg a little bit. Doesn't seem to notice. Alessandra.
So, Alessandra will rush up to the alfr, pulling her morning star out as she moves. She lifts it above her head, and as she swings it down, she mutters a word that's unfamiliar to everybody. And when she hits, she will release this negative energy upon this alfr. And I need to make a melee attack as I inflict wounds on him. Now I'm also going to use my touch of death, which gives me 9 more points of damage to this roll.
Nice.
If I hit. So that's 13 plus A 5. Does 18 hit?
Yes, it does.
It hits.
Yep.
Alright, nice. So inflict does 3d10 plus 9 plus. uh, Um, 33 points of damage.
Ooh, wow. Nice
And you see,
job.
like, this when she swings down and mutters this word that everybody's unfamiliar with, and she connects with this morning star, it's like this negative energy just engulfs him, and his eyes roll in the back of his head for a split second. He's able to shake it off, but you see that it's definitely weakened him.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, you see some of the leaves and stuff that he's wearing kind of wither and die, um, and even around him on the ground, some of the grass kind of withers a little bit as he gets hit with this huge hit, and he rocks back. Um, so Renvald, you're next.
All right, I get right beside my good half giant friend Vidar and lock my shield up right against his belt buckle, giving him a little bit of extra protection. And I look up in the air, and this raven shakes, and I see a feather start to slowly float down, bobbing back and forth, and it hits me. And all of a sudden, I have a vision. I'm underwater looking up. Floating on top of the water are bodies of elves. Everywhere, dead elves. Their bloodish ichor tainting it green. I start swimming up. And when I come out, as I bob up and down, I look around, and I see a small boat. And it's parting the elven bodies with an oar. It comes over top of me and reaches down, and it was the man I had seen out the window. A large fishing robe, a long-brimmed hat, one eye, and a spear. And he reaches for me, and I reach up with a trembling hand, and as I touch it, I look down, and I know. And a smile caresses across my face, and I look at the elf, and I say, Odin is here. And I make a symbol with my hand, and raven feathers fall out of the sky, showering down upon us, caking the ground like feet and feet of raven feathers. And all of them get washed over in this blackish glow, and I cast Bless.
Nice.
And I'm going to choose as the targets Dennis and, well, I guess all three of you because I get 3 targets. So you all get 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws for 1 minute.
Very cool, man. Okay, so the elf goes again. He's going to snarl. Say, Odin. Odin is not here. Your tricks will not work on me, insect. But he doesn't actually attack. He goes to the tree. He puts his hand on it, and he mutters some words. And as he does so, you can see some energy coming from him and going into the tree, and the bark starts to knit itself back together. And he stands ready. And in the distance, you hear a horn.
Ooh, what does its make? Because I'm a horn musician. What, have I heard it before? The material, the style.
No, you have not heard the material anyway. You don't recognize it as a noise you've heard before from a horn.
I look at my comrades and I say, reinforcements.
The elf laughs. You think you can come here and ruin, desecrate this holy place without the Thane knowing? You will suffer. You will all suffer.
Yes, and if we destroy the tree, you will probably suffer as well, because it's your incompetence that destroyed the holy grove. And I just aim and look at the tree again. Let's take it to the ground.
Vidar, you're next.
Having missed with the attack, that just adds to the anger welling up and within him, his eyes locked on his creature, determined to see it to its end as he closes once again, swinging his axe. So that would be 16.
Yep, that's going to hit.
Points of damage.
Okay, so another cracks into him, right into his side. Wham! Slams into his side, and he lets out a grunt. Coughs up a little bit of blood.
Okay, at this point, as soon as the axe strikes true, Tor is going to leap out from behind towards the creature.
Okay.
Now, does it get any kind of bonus, or just if it says it's to hit is 4, it's to hit?
Yeah, it's basically just a wolf, but I think it might have a bonus for a pack. Is that, do wolves have that?
Oh yeah, it gets advantage
Yeah.
because of everybody's. So 16.
Yep.
So 2, 4. So 3, another 5 points of damage.
Okay.
And it will also need to make a dex or a strength versus 11 saving throw.
Yeah, he nails it. So Tor bites into its calf. Sorry, you're next.
Alright, so seeing that the elf is occupied with the half-giant at this point, and Rangvold's words are ringing in my ears of destroy the tree, I'm going to use a disengage action. So you see my character do a half roll to get out of the combat melee range of this elf. And then I'm going to attempt to scale the tree with my full action, pulling out a torch. I'm going to light the torch. Knowing that the trunk of the tree is not going to light quickly, I'm going to try and climb the tree and light up the branches and the smaller limbs.
So when you first touch the branch as well, you get like a crack, and you see this vision of this huge man sitting cross-legged. He's got these massive antlers, and in front of him is this altar with all these bodies just ripped to pieces in front. He just reaches down and picks up a human arm and eats it.
The horn god. So am I still able to do the climb, or is this
Yep, you just get,
disorientated?
just for a split second of connection, and then you're okay and you're back.
Okay, did you need me to do any type of
No,
acrobatics
it's fine.
check? Alright, so I light up the torch and I start putting the limbs aflame.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to jump off of the tree before I am myself in the bonfire.
Okay, no problem. So the tree starts to go up in flame. You start to hear this sort of incessant whispering build up in your head. You all hear it as the tree starts to burn. After sorry, I think it's Alessandra. Yes, it is. You're next.
So I will, having seen this, I want to add to the flame of the tree. So I will look at it and I will whisper, "Tai." And the tree needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
It failed.
Alright, as I throw this this aura, it's like a bubble in my hand. As I throw it at it like a fastball, and it hits it, and you see that it engulfs the tree again in that aura, and it just combusts into flames and adds to the fire already upon it.
The whispering gets louder.
And that adds another 2 points of damage to the tree.
Okay,
And the
cool.
fire flickers out around it.
Reinwald.
Alright, so I'm going to declare an attack against the tree, which gives me my free bonus action with the shield. The elf's within 5 feet of me. I'm going to lurch forward and come up fast at his face, trying to break him in the head with the blunt side of my shield.
Go for it.
So that's going to be a contested check.
Okay.
It's athletics for me. It can be athletics or acrobatics, I think, Dennis. Is that what it was?
I think
Yes.
so.
So
Ooh.
for me, it is going to be...
No, I think he's got you.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah, he's too quick. Jumps out of the way.
Alright, so
Use
he jumps
acrobatics.
out of the way. I whip the ground with my spear, and on the front of this tree is this gnarled-looking knot, sitting right below two of the main limbs. I whip the spear on the ground. As it hits the bones blow up with divine energy, and I thrust forward and stick it in the knot, and I use my divine smite.
Nice.
So does the tree have like divine or undead, or fiend or undead qualities?
It's Fey. It's not undead or fiend.
All right, so it'll just be 2d8. Well, 3d8 plus my 14, 16. So it's going to be 20 points of damage.
Wow, nice. So you thrust the spear in. There's a bit of a shock and a bit of a rumble, and the knot explodes. The tree is up in flames, and now the whispering is more like chanting. Some sort of guttural language.
So I'm going to look at the elf and say, your ancestors are speaking to me. They're saying, foolish idiot, you failed me. Oh my god, it's so intense. They're spitting on you. Oh, what have you done? What have you done?
So he's fucking furious, and you hear the horn again. And it's much closer. He gets up. Oh, he hasn't fallen over yet. He's going to make a swing for you, Randwald. 13 plus 7, yeah, it's going to hit. 9 plus 4, 13 points of damage. Swing! There's a nice ring as his blade rings out. And he makes a second attack. This one against the dog, who's biting his leg. That's going to hit. Ooh, shit. 16 damage.
So it's down once again.
Slices, and the dog stops biting, just whimpers and falls. The horn now, and you can actually hear the approaching sound of hooves.
I think it's time to leave, guys.
It's your turn, Vidar.
So it's seeing my beloved Thor fall once again. Vidar roars out, charging forward, running his full speed as he slams into this creature, driving his axe into it, doing his unstoppable charge.
Sweet.
16.
Yep.
So 20.
That's a hit.
Okay. So. Wait. No. 1, 2. 7 plus 11. So 9, 20 points of damage.
Wow. Yeah, that'll end him.
Okay. So, yes, see that Tor fall once again, nearly sheared in two by the blade of this creature. He roars out, bestial, feral, beyond control as he just charges forward, driving with his axe, shearing the creature right down the middle.
Yeah, you absolutely murder it. You tear its body apart, and it goes flying from your charge and hits the ground some bit away. The horn sounds again, and it's very close now.
Grab the body and run, guys. I'm gonna run for the body.
Sure.
I have
Evan?
firemen carry it.
Yeah, I'm
How's
going
the
to.
tree looking?
Haven't jumped out of the tree. I'm going to try to jump into the opposite woods of the oncoming hooves sound and try to be as stealthy as possible, using my action to do a, if anything becomes available or becomes visible, I will unleash a shot from my short bow. So
Yeah.
ready in action,
Okay. And the plan is to run?
definitely.
Okay. So you manage to pick up the body and you guys start sprinting out of the forest. I guess paying no heed to like where you're running, just trying to get out as quick as possible. It doesn't take you that long. I mean, it's tough. Yeah, you pick up the dog, no problem. It's definitely tough going, but you guys know that if you stop, you're going to be in serious trouble. And you see the edge of the forest just ahead of you. It's about 10 feet away, and just as you burst through, you see burst through behind you this thing. It's a thing that you saw, Reinwald. It's got the upper body of a man with this face mask totally covering its face, except for its maw full of teeth. It's got these huge antlers, and it's got the lower body of a horse. And it's carrying some sort of thick spear with a huge blade at the end. And it charges after you guys, and just as you get to the edge of the forest, it skids to a halt and just paces at the edge of the forest, looking at you guys. You guys are just outside the forest and it's just pacing back and forth.
So I will let the body drop off on my shoulders, and I'll pick it up by the head, and I'm gonna hold it out outside of this thing's perceived reach. And I'm just gonna look right at it. This fool doubted the power of our gods. Pray you don't do the same.
It just responds with a snarl. I will eat your entrails.
Judging by the fact that you can't even walk through a couple trees, I'd say you're fairly weak. And I turn around and start carrying the elf off.
All right, you guys are able to get out of the forest, just about. This thing continues pacing until you guys are out of sight. And you eventually make it back to your Donarulf town, and we'll stop there.
So I just want to say, on the walk back, my character is visibly weeping, and I probably urinated myself.
All right. Thank you everyone for playing. Our players have been SR2 Joker on the YouTubes, DMT Tabletop Gaming on the YouTubes, and Christopher Carosella on YouTube, and also Derek Kellogg, who doesn't have a channel yet. I'm your LDM. Thank you for watching.